Hi, hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Express Engage. Express Engage is a knowledge and experience sharing platform, online platform curated by Air India Express. Unlike previous episodes of Express Engage, in this episode we have given entries to art, aviation, and travel enthusiasts from outside Air India Express also. We have taken this decision to this decision exclusively for this episode of Express Engage, based on popular demand received from various quarters. I thank each one of you for joining us in this evening. The top management and airline and the employees of the airline, we have with us around now I could see 300 participants, other than our employees and top management representatives joining us on this platform today. I'm very happy and excited to see the response. We just announced a week back, and within the last 3-4 days, we have seen many people joining, registering with us. As you know, Air India Express, India's first international budget airline, is having its corporate headquarters in Kochi. In its 220 listing, Lonely Planet has ranked this city of Cochin the seventh among the top 10 cities to visit. National Geographic Traveler has included Fort Kochi in its top 25 list. And today, in this episode, we have with us the artist whose enormous efforts have resulted in transforming Kochi as a global tourism brand. Air India Express is excited to host Sri Bose Krishnamachari in this episode of Express Engage. Sri Krishnamachari, as we know, is an internationally acclaimed artist and independent curator who is settling between his studios in Mumbai and Kochi. He is the founder president of Kochi Biennale Foundation and director of Kochi-Muziris Biennale. He curated the first edition of Yunqian Biennale in Yunqian, China in 2016. His diverse artistic and curatorial practice include contemporary art, design, and sciences. A recipient of many awards and recognitions, which include Kerala Lalitakala Academy Award, British Council Travel Award, Mid-America Arts Alliance Award, Charles Wallace India Trust Award, Lifetime Fellowship Award of Lalitakala Academy. The list is very big. I'm sure that this session will inspire the delegates. This will provide fresh insights about an artist's life, the way he looks at life. Of course, he will also talk about the significance of monumental events like Kochi-Muziris Biennale. I request Mr. Alok Singh, CEO of Air India Express, to make his opening remarks. Thank you.
Okay, Pragish, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Mr. Bose Krishnamachari. Thank you so much for accepting our invite and joining us today virtually. So before we get into the talk, I just thought I will put a quick context around today's event. So as an airline, we have had a very long relationship with art. And we are in fact looked upon as the cultural ambassadors of the country, and that's something we are very proud of. Our parent company Air India, as many of you might be knowing, built probably the biggest corporate collection of contemporary Indian art in the country. And Air India Express, we have something very unique in the industry. Each aircraft tail is actually a canvas that depicts some aspect of the country's culture, heritage, and history. So we are very glad that we have an artist of Mr. Bose's stature, a globally renowned artist, joining us today for this talk. I believe Mr. Bose will tell us two stories today. One is about Muziris itself, the almost mythical port city which flourished 2,000 years ago, not very far from our hub in Kochi. And the other is about how he and a group of other people wove that tale into a into a fantastic, product involving art, culture, history, which is the Biennale. And we are very excited to hear more about it from him. Uh, so, without further ado, I will request Mr. Bose Krishnamachari to start his talk. And over to you, Bose. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank you, Pragesh, for inviting me to be part of this. One of my, there are so many anecdotes I can talk about Air India, like your parent company. And, I was in my international travel, first travel was supported by Air India. I have received an award through British Council Award to travel to UK in 1993. That's that time. Mr. Jasawala was heading. He was the manager at Air India building in Mumbai. I live and work in Mumbai, lives and works in Bombay, and in between Kochi and I live in Borivali in Mumbai. So wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this Air India Express's, initiation. And always, Air India was interested in contemporary art. Most of the ICCR travels, ICCR initiated travels, all funded, I think, like the travel funded by Air India. And still, when we look at internationally, most of the cultural events are really taken care of by, Condas in Australia. Emirates takes care of, like art events in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and, like all kinds of places, but, in India, when we look at it, 1.33 billion people and, travel is kind of one of the major stuff. Sorry, I had to switch off my phone. I just wanted to talk about, it's a kind of long, 10 years of my life actually dedicated to the Biennale Foundation and Kochi Biennale. Kochi-Muziris Biennale is one of the vertical organized by the Kochi Biennale Foundation. This was originated in 2010, and then Culture and Education Minister visited Mumbai for a, talk about education purpose. He wanted to raise some funds. It was about 100 CR. He was looking at it, and art was one of the things. Through auction, he wanted to. Mr. Mariam Alexander Baby was then culture minister. He wanted to raise funds for higher education. Like postgraduate students travel, scholarship. For that reason, he wanted to raise some funds, and he visited Mumbai. Over the conversation, we don't have much time, so I won't go through the conversation much. Finally, over this, we have requested him to stay back that night. It was in Borivali, and I called a few of my artist friends. One was Riaz Komu and Jodi Basu. Over the dinner, he asked a question: what's the best way we could encourage Kerala's cultural scene? The questions may be different, like the content of it, gist of it is how we could encourage, Kerala's cultural scene. So it was it sounds very light, but, like it was really, we thought about it, Riaz, myself, and we have suggested that night itself to Mr. Baby that a Biennale would be the right thing to do. And people didn't know, not only Baby, I mean, most of us didn't know, I mean, especially in the art circle in Kerala, people didn't know what is Biennale. Biennale is an Italian word. The first edition of the Biennale was started in Italy, in Venice. Venice Biennale is really now it's mother of all all the biennials, I would say. Um, it was started in 1895, and then it just started as a kind of almost like an art fair. Art fair, there is a difference in between art fair and the biennial. Biennale is always shows cutting edge practices. There is no sales of artworks takes place in Biennale. But other, art fairs, art galleries brings their artists. They curate artist projects. The greatest, the art fairs in the world is Basel Art Fair in Basel, and Basel, Miami, and Delhi also we have an art fair called India Art Fair. It was started, it was started 15, 20, or 15 years ago or something like that, always every year it takes place in Delhi. Last year it could not because of the COVID, as you know. Most of the cultural sector places being closed. I mean, museums are shut down. Recently, they started working on this. Museums are also started opening up in Australia and things like that. Many other places. So I'm also working on a very large project in Kerala. It's called Logame Award, which will open after the election of assembly election. 10th of thinking of opening in 10th of April. You are all welcome. This is going to be a large project, as big as I don't want to claim it like a Biennale. Biennale is a kind of international project. Of course, this Logamya Tharawad is also an international project of contemporary Malayali artists from around the world. So there is about 268 artists will be showcasing their project. So welcome to Kerala. Welcome to two cities, Ernakulam as well as in Alleppey. Alleppey got larger spaces, 6 venues, and Ernakulam Darbar Hall with the help of Lilithal Academy and people's help, we will be starting this project. So let me come back to the Biennale. What is a Biennale? Biennale is about, there are many kinds of biennials around the world. There is contemporary art biennials, film Biennale, music biennale, design Biennale, even architecture Biennale, and the Biennale of Venice runs for 6 months period of time, and our Biennale runs for the coming biennial. Coming edition is on November 1st, 2021, curated by Shubhigi Rao. And she has done all her travel and research before the pandemic. Her last visit was Australia. And Australia is also interesting to hear about Sydney Biennale. Sydney Biennale is located in fantastic buildings and some museum spaces, but there is an outside space, like you have to take it 45 minutes boat ride and you can get into a place called Cockatoo Island and all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to travel, definitely Qantas support, travel to Australia. They support cultural festivals, so I was one of the guests in their country when the Sydney Biennale was opening, and there were 13 guests were invited. I was one of them. As curators, we searched on many places, visited on their spaces. When we were thinking about a Biennale in Kerala, there was no exhibition spaces in a way that contemporary art spaces which had weather controlled or climate controlled spaces. Like if you really wanted to bring a Picasso or an important contemporary artist's work, you need to have a weather controlled space. So when we got the first initial funding, and that was very interesting. Dr. Thomas, I think, was the he was the finance minister. We visited him in Alapi and discussed about the Biennale, and he knew about the potential about the Biennale and how much wealth can be brought through cultural tourism. So he offered us 10 CR for the first edition of the Biennale, and 5 CR we got it in the first place itself. And then immediately, after the election, other government came up, UDF front government, and they were also hugely supportive. But there were a lot of financial issues where, there were a lot of controversies and things like that. So we had difficulties in opening, but we had an incredible opening, with all the support from both the, this was when we started about thinking about this project itself, there was no party was involved. It was basically all kinds of creative thinking people. Also, the political figures were involved with the project. In that sense, we had support from both the all kinds of parties were, political parties I was talking about. And they supported they came for the opening period and, all that kind of stuff. So this space, Lalitla Academy space, 10,000 square feet of space, was the only space we had as a kind of major exhibition space. Now we have more than 100,000 spaces of, exhibition area, inside spaces of building. But, outside we can, maybe you can look at almost like the 600,000 square feet of exhibition area. We use it for the Biennale. And Biennale, the city is also known as Biennale City. And what is also interesting, and then we have learned it from other Biennales, how we can encourage people to see a Biennale site. People didn't know about what is a Biennale. So we had friends went around and given lectures and talks, slide presentations in different institutions and schools, and artist friends, young friends, theater friends. All of them went around and given talks about the Biennale, not only about the Biennale, but about contemporary art. And the first edition of the Biennale was open on 12/12/12, and we had 90 days of exhibition. And the 90 days of exhibition, we had 400,000 people visited on the first edition itself. And that was a kind of huge number. And what kind of public visited the Biennale? It is like who is who from around the world, as well as, the local public. Local, it turned out to be national. I mean, like really, really amazing crowd from Tate Modern to Pompidou Center to MoMA to all kinds of institutional directors, institutional curators, and from the local public. Really, really amazing to see how local public participated, and the strength given by the local public, I cannot forget. So it's still, always a project will be successful when the local accept it as it is, and learn from it and learn and grow from one to another. So it was really amazing. And it's also in the first edition, we didn't have much support from the state, but many, of course, state government supported, but the individuals or corporate were, hesitant what to say. They didn't have any idea. But now this is such an awesome project. I believe, for example, Mr. Yusuf Ali is continuously increasing and supporting his project, this project, and then South Indian Bank and many others. So without any, support, we cannot run some project like this. Like when we look at the study or economic study and in the how much budget they put aside for project like this is, like Gwangju Biennale in South Korea, they spend 13 million euro. The same amount is spent by Venice Biennale, 13 million, which means almost like 110 crore. And our Biennale started with 17 CR, and we raised, state government given us, the first edition offered 10, but it was difficult to get that fund, and it was taking so much time. And then and we were in debt for many months and a couple of years, and we have put together our own funds to make that Biennale happen. And when we were thinking about the Biennale, the site is important. How you give, developing, creating audience is important. So many aspects need to be thought about it, and also make people aware of what is the Biennale. And we had mediators, we have volunteers, and many the school children. We give an introduction to all these children when they come, and we have 50% of Indian artists and 50% international artists. That's the way we started having the biennial. So this work is now in Cochin Airport Terminal 3. It was collected by the airport. So Sial collected this work from the artist P.K. Sadanandan. It's at the international airport in. So this, when I remember about this, Air India played an important role. My first travel was supported by Air India, their parent company, Air India. I have given a small work of mine, and then I could get a flight ticket to UK. That was my first travel supported by the British Council. And so that's when you create places like this, it depends on curators to curators, what kind of political thing, what kind of educational programming, and all those kind of things will be conceptualized. This is from the first edition of the Biennale, and this is from the fourth edition when Anita Dubey curated. Shilpa Gupta showed her installation projects, and this project was, Gary Hill, known as a kind of father figure of video art, and this was shown in the restored place, Little Academy's place, about 36 cameras and 36 visuals, it's a kind of interactive video created by Gary Hill. So there are many schools of practices, many styles of practices, many mediums of practices will be shown in the Biennale: photography, new media, performances, all kinds of creative thinking and practice. You could find it in the Biennale. Sorry, I'm just running too many. This is a performance art, and it's a site-specific political art done by Vipin Thanvatharan, Sahodharan. It is inspired from Sahodharan Ayyappan's Common Kitchen. So, and this is a performance art by and printmaking, dancing and making. Through performance, you make art, and this is done by Malaysian artists. This is by an Australian artist, Brooke Andrew, who curated the last edition of the Biennale of Sydney, and also showed his work in when I was curating a project in the first edition of the Biennale of Yinchuan in China. I have included his work as well. And this is, public viewing from, this is an Aspinwall house. Aspinwall house is also supported by the DLF family, really supported from the beginning itself. The last 4 editions, we could have it because of their support, in-kind support. They've never taken in single penny to give that space. So that kind of real commitment, and it is wonderful to see all kinds of class, all kinds of cultural and religious or political background. You could see it in the Biennale, and there's a kind of interactive work, students and artists and people can interact with artworks. So the Biennale Foundation got many verticals, and one of the most important thing is, as I mentioned earlier, it's Kochi-Muziris Biennale. What is Kochi-Muziris Biennale? Muziris was the oldest port. It was earlier we were thinking of calling it Kochi Biennale. Then we realized that it is the mother port was actually It was vanished in 1341, Muziris, and then with the discussion with Thomas Isaac, we thought it would be great to call it the Kochi-Muziris Biennale. And we received the first funding from the tourism department, and tourism department support the Biennale. And because of the biennale, the people traveling to Kerala is the numbers, like KPMG has done a study on that. And also, Vidya Mohan Kumar of Urban Design Collective from Chennai has also done studies which we published in our website. You can find it, and how many people travel to Kochi, why they are traveling, and although also you can see it says that because of the Biennale and the heritage character of the city, like there are, as Pragesh mentioned, continents travelers to Nat Geo, to all of them believe this is one of the best destinations to travel to. Kochi become one of the most important destinations because of the Biennale presence. Every 2 years, we can see the increasing number of people are traveling to Kerala. There are two reasons. One is the heritage character of the city, and the second is definitely the biennial brings wealth to the state through cultural tourism. So there are talks we organized. There are verticals I was talking about. The Students' Biennale is one of the major things, which you can see it now in a Students' Biennale online, which was opened a few days ago, curated by 5 curators this year. And we work with a lot of institutions and academicians to develop a great program for physical exhibition of the Students' Biennale. Hopefully we can have it during the time of the main biennale. That's how we used to have it. The second edition of the Biennale onwards, 2014 onwards, we have the Students' Biennale. And now we have about 68 art colleges from all around India participating in. Please check our website, Students' Biennale website. And Vidya Shivadas has been there from the beginning, and also Tata Trust really supported the biennial, and HCL continuously supporting many of our programs. The Students' Biennale also get opportunity to travel. This is an awarded one. Akanksha could travel to Venice and Basel to see art projects. So we give 2 travel awards and one, in fact, 3 travel awards and 1 residency for 1 month. Residency means like it can be collective residency and residency in Pepper House residency. Pepper House is also given by one of our young enthusiasts from Kerala. From the first edition onwards, we have that place for, we have a library, and they have started a cafe, and it's an interesting design shop as well in that same location, same site. And Students' Biennial interactive sessions and ABC Art by Children. Now we've taken up a new level of ABC. Last year we had, it was started as a kind of exhibition of Clint. This is a young, when he was 7 years old, he passed away. On his memory, we started an exhibition. The second edition of the ABC was 100 school. We send out experts to talk about work with them for 2-3 days. And then later, the third edition, we initiated 10 art schools. We found art rooms, and consistently we sent speakers, artists, musicians, performers, all of them work with children. Now, Blaise Joseph developed, he is taking care of the art by children, developed a very interesting project with children, like parents and kids attend his webinar, I think every Saturday, Sundays, he takes that workshop with kids. So we cannot accommodate too many kids, but, started with 17, then it was 25. I remember attending all this, three, four initiative by the ABC. And it's all educational workshop. We organize master classes, we organize Pepper House residency. I was talking about young residency. Then the students get an opportunity in Shah Mansoor residency artists to show their work during the time of the exhibition. On the main biennial, they could present their residency works. She was from Kashmir, and really she created this project, amazing project there. And Jyoti Basu to was a painter, and the master classes organized by eminent figures. And graffiti, mural, all kinds of practices we encourage. Kudumbasri, one of the largest women organization, they have 4.3 million members in their list, and selected enthusiasts in art. We organized 1 month long workshop with the help of Kudumbasri, and also they have performed during the time of the biennial. Artist cinema, curated cinema, we have always during the time of the biennial we have, and temporary pavilion created by artists or architect. This is designed by Tony Joseph Pavilion using recycling materials, and we have talks in all kinds of subjects, the film to theater to music. Video Lab is another, Tata Trust used to support the Video Lab. Video Lab, you get practice and editing, all that kind of help, you get it from the organization. Arts and Medicine, been organized by one of our trustee, Bonnie Thomas, used to take care of it at the Government General Hospital. It was running for a few years. Music of Muziris, one of the initiation of, like the Curator. You can see SM Krishna, sorry, TM Krishna, and this is performance art. We have huge supporters of the biennial, now I'm sure Air India Express also could support the Biennale. Our travelers, our artists can travel with the support of I look forward to working with Air India Express and other, DLF, Lulu, BMW is one of our first supporter of the, corporate supporter, Asian Paints, TVS. There's so many, I can go on, and especially artists, without artists, I cannot do this project, So HCL has been supporting every year, like their CSR funds. And also, interestingly, they have fantastic team of people who come and do the cultural auditing. That auditing is also done by Tata Trust, and we have our internal auditing, and also KPMG is supporting some of our auditing section as well. There are so many write-ups, like the New York Times written about the biennial, one of the many organizations. So you can see that the followers on Kochi Biennial Foundation is all kinds of magazines, to local support to international magazines. Really written well about, many people really wanted to, I won't say imitate, but learn from the Kochi Biennial. And because one of their first exciting thing come out from them is, people coming from outside. They see consistently you can find people without any kind of break. You can see all kinds of local public, all kinds of class you could find, which is not really seen in many other biennales. So that's kind of, we have created an awesome crowd, and also educational institutions. Like we work with international institutions as well. So this is the study done by KPMG and UDC. You can see in 89 artists were part of it in the first edition, 2012. 2014, we had 94 artists and 500,000 people visited the Biennale. 2016, we had 600,000 people visited. 2018 is also interesting to see that period of time after the Nipah virus attack. You can imagine how state was, and also the flood. Like we survived, the Biennale survived. Biennale could bring so many people to the state through cultural tourism. People visited from all around the world. MoMA's team, Museum of Modern Arts team, every edition they have visited. Tate Modern's team, every edition they have visited. The same with the Pompidou Center, all the cultural institutions. We work very closely with the British Council, Prolvicia, Max Muller-Bowen, Goethe Institute, Max Muller-Bowen, like their cultural institutions are called. So there's so many cultural institutions also support the Biennale. And, artists, supported with their artwork. That's how we could create, we could make money, like in the sense, like this every 2 years we need to raise 30 crore rupees to make a biennial happen. So now we are in a debt of 4.5 crore. So you can imagine how the institution is. It's not easy to, unless until in the, like abroad, it is taken care of by the city. The city of Venice, Venice taken care of everything, like 13 million euro is given to make that happen, and the Biennale Foundation make a fantastic biennial. They have other biennales as well. They have architecture biennale. The same way, Gwangju got to the South Korea. Of course, it is run by the state government. State government is always supportive, but if someone says that there's 10 million every year, we would like to have, you cannot run around every year to make a 30 CR, raising that and making, also need to understand this was not just about, Biennale, how you can make culture building through, how you can bring audience, how you can create audience, make awareness. Now you ask this 10-year-old kid, he was 20 or she was 20 in 12, that boy or girl must be now, it's more than 20 years old. They must have learned a different kind of life in Kerala, and especially in Kochi, looking at the artworks and things like that. So rise in 166% rise in number of tourists visiting Kerala since 2006. This is important when I talk about India Express. And Biennale, 60% Biennale visitors are first-time visitors to Kerala. A 50% increase in business for local traders. 35% hike in business for homestays. 35% rise in foreign tourists visiting between December and March since the first edition in 2012. 30% of sales attributed exclusively to the Biennale by local businesses. And we could create some fantastic, we have really thinking minds, of creative minds work with Biennale Foundation, like Sunil V. He is one of the trustee also. If you remember Incredible India, he started working from, with the creative ideas done by Sunil. So it's kind of really important how aesthetics play an important role for developing art and sciences, art and design. So we are also working towards, we might do in future a design biennale or architecture biennale, things like that. So every year, if the support comes from someone who really believe in investing in culture, there are people, last week I got huge support from Faisal and Shabana to make this Logometer Award. They have supported, there are many individuals also coming up and, supporting a project. So there are great statements, great testimonials you can hear from, people like Glenn Lowry, considered to be one of the most influential figure in the contemporary art world. Also, I want to proudly can say that, Kochi Biennale, also Kochi-Muziris Biennale is also considered to be one of the most influential institutions in the world because of, because of the biennial developments. Study. There are reports comes out every year by art review magazines, and so there is a kind of culture building, creative city building, and through creative city building, you can bring wealth to the city and culture to the city, and better life to the city and better life to the people. I believe that the coming edition, like it was supposed to open on 12/12/20. We have extended that to November 1st, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. And it runs for 4 months. With the Shubigi was a participating artist in 2018, and she's based in Singapore, an Indian origin, but a Singaporean artist, a brilliant thinking mind. Who she's fortunately done all of her research travel. She traveled into 35 countries before the pandemic affected our nation and other part of the world. So looking forward to seeing all of you on 1st of November 2021. We believe art is life itself. There is a 2 minutes video I would like to show. I hope you can hear.
An extraordinary and intense experience. Biennale that doesn't feel like it has a relationship to a museum in the same way as other biennales do. It feels very rooted in its architectural vernacular context.
It feels very rooted in its architectural vernacular context.
What I find and what impresses on me is the relationship between the place and the community and the artist, and how this Biennale has impacted the area commercially as well as culturally and artistically.
I think it's particularly wonderful that the focus is both local, regional, and international. It makes it a very special Biennale. It makes it a very special Biennale.
social agenda as well as an artistic one. I think it's very important because it's a risk. It's an economic risk, and it's a social and aesthetic risk. But we have to encourage that because we want creative citizens, not passive ones.
But we have to encourage that because we want creative citizens, not passive ones.
സാമ്പത്തിക വികാസ പുരോഗതിയിലും കൊച്ചിയുടെ സാംസ്കാരികമായിട്ടുള്ള മുന്നേറ്റത്തിന് ഒരുപാട് സംഭാവനകൾ നൽകുന്ന സാംസ്കാരിക ഉത്സവമായി ബിനാലെ
As far as art scene is concerned, I think Kochi-Muziris Biennale is the finest example of what we have produced in the last decade. I don't think there is any comparable event, both in terms of content as well as in terms of the way in which it is organized.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, for this amazing session on this event, a huge event. Now, we all Malayalis, we Keralites and we Indians are proud of such a big event. And so I think some people have asked some queries here in chat box. See, it says, can you see the question, Mr. Bose? With almost 6 lakh visitors to the Biennale, do you see a larger role of Air India Express improving the visibility of the event and support the visitor traffic to Kerala?
This is a comment or a question? I don't know. We definitely would like to work with, always project like this sustain only because of the support of the people. And Air India Express can play an important role, reading cultural. It is important to know, like the cultural heads, most of the corporates, important corporate houses got the cultural wing and cultural heads. Air India used to have that. I remember there was a special, we never used to call them curators. But I know that, BMW got cultural wing. I know Deutsche Bank got cultural wing, and Citibank and all those people got cultural wing. I think, all the corporate houses in India should have cultural wing, which encourage art and culture. And art and culture is the face of a nation. Like we look at the creative cities by the UNESCO. There are 15 cities selected by UNESCO. And whichever city you travel, most of the cities has biennales, or for example, Bilbao, the city of Barcelona. When you travel to Barcelona, there are the heritage buildings of, designed by Antonio Gaudi is designed. People talk about Antonio Gaudi and, Picasso. Or that there are artist names or architects names you see here. The same way, I'm sure, Kochi, when we talk about Kochi, the heritage spaces, like the synagogue in Kochi, the same way Biennale played an important role to bring so many people to our country, not just the state. So that we should look at it in that perspective, how culture can play an important role. Cultural investment is really, really important when it comes to culture building or creative city building.
Yeah, Bose, I was just, there was some technical issue. That's why I couldn't comment there. The journey that you have shown in the PPT, yes, it's very interesting, and the milestones that you have achieved are, very impressive. So there was a question, how Biennale has changed the cultural tourism, the perspective of cultural tourism with respect to Kerala. This is one of the questions that has come in the chat box.
See, I'm not the right person to talk about it, but we should be asking the local businessman, local homestay people, or the local hoteliers, how they feel when the Biennale is not there. There is a kind of vacuum when you walk around in, if the Biennale is not there. There is a kind of emptiness, and you can feel it in Fort Kochi and Matancheri area.
Yeah, that's true. And even with this, the pandemic and the new normal, do you think there is a new normal art also?
I think, like people are self-conscious, they're conscious about their travel. I think it is important to see when it comes to biennial and exhibition, it is important to have the physicality of it. And people started traveling. I met last week an art enthusiast taken a break from Bombay to visit Alapi. He stayed for a week and went back. And he spent half an hour with me, looking around Alapi's spaces which we are developing for the exhibition. And like there are, like Kerala is an exceptional space. Really, take care of the health as a kind of really seriously during the time of this pandemic. And you take Nipah virus also, those period of time, Kerala played really an important role to make people aware of it. Kerala is the only place I think really that reporting is taking place. That is why I think the number of cases, yesterday was 2,000 something. The cases are reporting in that stage. I think people are really aware of how they should take care of themselves and the health issues. Of course, it affected art world, cultural world really badly. But there are reports coming out. This is the year in 2020 by online. They have done incredible business. The gallery says that they have done never like, they have done incredible business during the time of these difficult times. So I think that's not, the Biennale's purpose is not that. Biennale is actually showing cutting edge practices from around the world. So there's an opportunity for cultural exchange, learning from cultural exchange, developing our cultural consciousness for the younger generation as well as for the I really believe that this gives a kind of really educational platform. Art is not like art used to be. Art used to be part of the educational portfolio, educational ministry in center. The first education minister, Maulana Abul Kalam, used to, the culture was part of it. Later period, it was separated from education into a culture ministry. So I think, cultural, for here, when I talk about Air India Express and cultural tourism, culture is one of the major investing platform, or future there is a lot of future in cultural, that's what you can see it in Abu Dhabi, they have put 21 billion to make Saadiyat Islands, culture building. We have incredible culture. We need to know how to package it in India. That is very important. And, Kerala is smarter than many other states in this part, I would say, especially when it comes to creative thinking. And but still there are many ways you can improve the situation of tourism through culture building.
Yeah, as we talk about culture, art, history, Biennale is a place where, art meets history as well, because in the very, name of your event itself, this Muziris is part of it. So how, the history and the myths around Muziris has shaped the concept of Biennale?
I mentioned about it earlier in my presentation, but I didn't expand it. When we were thinking about the Biennale, it was called Kochi-Biennale. In the beginning, we were thinking about calling it Kochi Biennale. But in a later, we had a conversation. We were thinking about it. And we had a conversation with Dr. Thomas Isaac, T.M. Thomas Isaac, and the Heritage Foundation's chief architect, Benny Kuriakos. And we felt that there is a kind of history, already existed here. That memory is important. There is a kind of umbilical cord connected to Kochi and the Muziris. Muziris was almost like a kind of mythical city, but later it is found as a kind of really found. There are more than 54 countries used to have trade relationship with Muziris, and Muziris was vanished in 1341. So that umbilical cord, that relationship, culture is not just happened. It is actually built through trade, built through travel. It's really important to see sociologically Kochi and Mattancherry. We have 44 different kind of community lives in 4.5 square kilometer area, and 16 different kind of languages people speak in that little town. So imagine that so many all kinds of fragrance, all kinds of spices, all kinds of gullies have got real good stories, sociologically very interesting space to work. And that is what, human heritage. We should have studies on human heritage. We should have studies on heritage building. And Kochi's magic is its heritage. There is really a good land we have. We have a great location. Biennale Foundation got a great location to build culture. So you need to just seed ideas, just throw ideas. It will come up by itself. That kind of land we have it, and there is a kind of huge enthusiasm, especially younger generation of people. Enthusiasm built the number of people coming to that city is because they are enthusiastic crowd. How you build, how you can create enthusiasm to people. And people are, if they are familiar about things, there is no enthusiasm. The unfamiliarity, the surprises, that is the key to make, enthusiasm. I think that should be the key for even a travel industry, or if anybody thinking about a new project or a new ways of travel thinking. Is also you should give surprises. Biennale always gives surprises. It's performative way. It's new artists, new ways of thinking. All those kind of things you can find it in every 2 years. You find a new curator. So new curator bring new ways of looking at life and art, design, sciences. Nowadays, art is not alone. We really see in an airline magazine, also designed properly. Even the food packaging, is also thoughtfully developed in every airlines. I think it is important, interior and outside, how people been, like what is great about Air India was one of the, the Maharaja itself. The image of Maharaja was one of the awesome things. And so that, and the namaskar is really belongs to, there is a kind of respect. So these gestures, everything is important when you conceptualize a site, a program, a new project, or a new site, or a new idea. I think Air India, we learn things from others, and others also should. I mean, they definitely can find. It is always imbibed. Aesthetic cannot be taught. It can be imbibed. It could be imbibed. I think the Biennale is doing that. Biennale is not a kind of teaching tool. It is actually, we can experience and learn from it. That's the kind of site we created. And it is organically created. We never realized it to become a kind of mega event in the international calendar of events. And it is. And I'm proud that, proud with my contemporaries, artist community, local community, all of them supported. That's how I could be. And still, I mentioned that we are in debt of 4.5 crore. It is, I don't know how to, if it was a kind of cricket thing, somebody would have, put that point, we invested in every ways, but when it comes to culture, people doesn't know how to invest it. And always they ask, what do I get out of it? So there is intangible, things which there are people who believe in it. We could sustain it because of the support of the especially artist community, and our state really believe in what we are doing. And thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this.
Yeah, as someone representing a travel brand, three things that you said is really important to us. 500,000 visitors in a window of 3 months' time for Biennale, and a whopping 166% increase in inbound tourism. And as you rightly said, travel is in the DNA of this place. So, of course, there are many takeaways for Air India Express from this webinar. And there was, of course, issues, technical issues with the connectivity and the issue of e-meeting, because the journey that you accomplished is such a big one. We are sure that it cannot be covered in a 45 minutes PPT. But we have no words to appreciate you, because you have made Kochi a global destination, and now this is for all the travel brands to build up own stories on it and to bring it to the places. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. There are many questions. I'm sorry I couldn't take all those questions because of paucity of time. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Bose Krishnamachari.
Thank you. Be there and support. Be together. Make this world a beautiful place. Thank you so much. Thank you.